You go to Dallas, and I've got the Cowboys, and I actually don't know that this one's that hard. I just had find a new defensive coordinator. Now, it's not just that, but I think that's like the start. Like you need someone who can do more with less, who's like, I might not have the most talented group, but don't worry. To your point, we're going to reach mediocrity. We're going to be competent. We're not going to be giving up 35, 40 points. We're going to give the offense a chance to succeed here. So in addition to obviously adding personnel, it would be great to add better players there, but I do think coordinator is where they're going to start. And I know for as much as you've probably talked about Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons, as much as I've talked about Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons, as much as every morning talk show has talked about it, as I was preparing for this, I'm like, I still don't think they've taken enough heat, because if you look at this season, honestly, it's like they have a top. No, they're not up. I'm not done talking about it. Okay, I'm still coming back. They have
Our
a
social
top
team's
five
like,
offense.
yes.
Yeah. They have a top 5 offense. They've had a great Dak Prescott season.
Yes.
The George Pickens thing worked out. I think the Brian Schottenheimer thing, for as much as I probably made fun of it at the time, I think that worked out.
I'm all aboard.
Because of the Micah Parsons mismanagement, they're not in the playoffs in a year where it's wide open in the postseason, where if their defense was just like the 20th best defense, we might be having a conversation that, man, I know they haven't done it in previous years, but with the Pickens addition, with CeeDee Lamb healthy, with the O-line, with the run game, with the way Dak's playing against like these really hard defensive coordinators, they really have a chance. And they like threw that away, not just because they wanted to trade Micah Parsons, but because of the timing. Like if they would have done it in the spring, now maybe you're adding players and draft capital and your defense isn't as bad. If you waited till the trade deadline, at least you would have had Micah Parsons for the first 8 weeks of the season. That would have made a big difference. It really would have. And so again, I know we've all talked about this for hundreds of hours probably at this point, but I would just be like so furious if I were a Cowboys fan that you wasted this season. And if I were like Dak Prescott, I know the money's nice and you get an early vacation, but if you're probably like, man, I can't believe that we just wasted, like everything was clicking for us offensively this season and we wasted it. So anyway, they can't bring that back. I can't get them a time machine to change that. But get that defense back on track. And I think they have a chance to be really competitive next year.
They could really be like a Peyton Manning Colts kind of team, as far as just supernova offense, top 5 offense, lock it in. They're trying to score 30 every game and just have to have that opportunistic defense that they had. Of course, there's the Bob Sanders year. But really, what the key was to the Colts was playing with leads, playing a bunch of cover 2 with Tony Dungy, and then Dwight Freeney, and then he can tee off on pass, all these quarterbacks have to drop back now because they're trying to keep up with Peyton. That's not so, and I think the Cowboys can run the ball too because they nailed the Clayton Adams signing too, bringing him over as the run game guy. It's just that that's frustrating because what would you say about like Eberflus too? I got another question on this with Eberflus is that his defense is very simple, very safe, very like, hey, we're going to make quarterbacks be methodical, make them make good decisions over and over. You need dudes though. That's the thing. If you play that way and guys don't make plays for you, you just get gashed because quarterbacks aren't threatened at all. I'm like, all right, quarters, boom, I go here. Cover 2, all right, I go here. It's just very simplistic. And you can play that way, but you need guys that can win up front and you need guys that can just make plays on the back end, and they don't have that. Do you have any, this was the question I have. Do you have any names in your head for defensive coordinator? I know I haven't really gotten up on my kind of coaches to watch yet. It's one of those where you're thinking about teams that are firing their head coaches or have already fired their head coaches who are the defensive coordinators. Now, Jim Schwartz, I've always been a big Jim Schwartz fan. Now he kind of plays the way you're sort of describing with he's not the one who's like, I'm coming in with creative stuff, but I do feel like he's seen enough and he has a track record where the floor is almost never, I think he's had like one season where the floor is really low. It's always 16th at worst,
So I think he raises the floor. He plays a certain way. You might want to go in a different direction if you're like, we want someone who's more creative and ahead of the curve, but that's a bigger risk. If you're Jim Schwartz, I'm like, I feel good that these guys are going to know what they're doing. I don't have to have the most talented unit, and we're going to be solid here. So I think he's a name I thought of maybe for one of these other teams, but I think he should have a market. I mean, he's done a great job in Cleveland the last few years.
Yeah, Jerry Jones likes the former head coach at coordinator spot. Like he's a sucker for that. So that's probably why Eberflus kind of, you got to remember Zimmer was the guy before that. Dan Quinn was the guy before that. Scott Lanahan was an OC here. Bill Callahan had play calling duties. Like they just like having all these guys that have that, at least one of the coordinator spots. Kellen Moore obviously was one of those guys, but just kind of how that makeup was. That's a long story. But no, that's what Jerry Jones likes, having former head coaches on the staff. And he kind of just has a eye for that. So I think that's where they go for a guy that's a former prestige coach, I guess is a good way to put it, as opposed to young whippersnapper from college or something of that sort. Because I'm even just trying to think like who are interesting names I would go after. Maybe a Rams assistant because they do some cool stuff. Maybe a Seahawks assistant because they do some cool stuff. But then again, it's like now you're really taking a leap of faith. And then I don't know. Jerry likes comfort in some ways, like he likes just having, he likes the kind of the narrative sell of everything. I know I'm really breaking new ground with that comment, but it just kind of like, he feels like he likes that going, known commodities. Maybe that's the best way I can put it. Like he kind of likes knowing that before he makes these hires, especially kind of key assistants and everything.
What would you do with Pickens? Because I know it's like a very tricky situation. I feel like. What'd you say?
Bring him back. It's not the Bengals to me because they already have an offensive line to me, where it's like, oh, why are you guys doing this? I think they have a makeup for it, but I would prioritize defensive signings and everything before I get to Pickens. But I mean, getting Pickens out there, Dak loves an X, and that's why, and he has the perfect synergy. CD and Pickens have the perfect synergy at receiver. You have a flanker that can move into the slot and CD, and Pickens, who's a true ISO X. You don't get that much. True ISO X is really hard to find. You can maybe in this draft Denzel Boston from the Washington, but like it's really hard to find that type of guy. And Dak likes that type of guy. Like Michael Gallup was the guy before that. He really liked that kind of archetype of a player. Having said that, I really, really, really like Ryan Flournoy, their second year guy from the small school. I think he's got a chance. He's older already. His background's really interesting. He's got some real juice to him. I don't know if he is an X or what he is, but maybe they say, hey, he's shown enough and we can move on from Pickens. We'll see. But my first kind of like gun to head is like bring Pickens back, because also I just dig this offense and it's so much fun to watch. I don't want it to change. The on-field
fit's been perfect. It's like, don't change anything. But then I do have the worry about like, was this a 1 year thing? It wouldn't shock anybody if you sign him to a big deal and all of a sudden you're like, that was a disaster. What is going on with that? That's not going to surprise anyone, but maybe it's just a chance you have to take.
It's both. I can make an argument for either answer. And I think that's, which is not like most situations. Like I can make an argument why you want to bring him back, and I can make an argument why you want. You also have Jake Ferguson, who's a nice kind of, you can be a top 3 pass catcher. Like they have enough where it's not like, oh my God, we just gave up our number one. The sky's falling. It's like, no. We have CD. We have any of those guys. Yeah. I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out on my own end, whether I like it. As long as you invest in the trenches, I'm good. Like that's the one quality Jerry has. He'll always invest in offensive linemen. And all the peaks of the Cowboys in the last 3 decades, it's when they invest in O-line. So, and I think they'll just kind of continue to do that, which they have. So yeah, Cowboys.